Hey, everyone! When we think of a worst year, the first things that come to mind are 2020, the pandemic, the war. But what if I told you that there was a year so terrible that, even compared to what we're living through today, it would still feel like just a good afternoon? Today, we'll explore the year that, according to several historians, was the worst in human history. It's not just about death counts. It's a perfect storm of climate, famine, disease, economic collapse, and social chaos that makes even 2020 look small. Ready to travel 1,500 years back in time? Then, hello YouTube? 2.1 Who brought it to light? Medieval historian Michael McCormick was the first to propose that 536 AD was the darkest year ever recorded. What drove him? Chronicles from Byzantine writers describing a sun that dimmed for 18 months, a light as a faint shadow, and crops that never ripened. To point to what the ancient texts say, Michael the Syrian, a Byzantine chronicler, the sun never regained its full light. The wine tasted of sour grapes. Procopius, another chronicler, the sun emitted light like the moon, as if a permanent eclipse. Immediate impact. The population believed the end of the world was at hand. 3.1 Y, a volcano. It wasn't a meteor like the dinosaur extinction. It was one or two massive volcanic eruptions that hurled ash into the atmosphere. That ash cloud blocked sunlight for almost 2 years, dropping global temperature by 1.6 degrees Celsius to 2.5 degrees Celsius. 3.2 Scientific evidence. Ice cores, samples from Antarctica and Greenland reveal spikes of sulfate. Sulfuric acid and volcanic glass particles dated precisely to around 536 AD tree rings. Pine and oak trunks from the Alpine region show exceptionally narrow rings, indicating severely reduced growth because of the cold, sediments, and ash layers. Archaeological digs in Asia and the Middle East have uncovered ash layers that match the same time frame. 3.3 Where did the eruptions happen? There's no definitive consensus, but the leading hypotheses are Icelandic fissure system, a large fissure eruption. El Chichen, Mexico, a later proposal, ** volcanic complex near Lida, Spain. Some scholars suggest two simultaneous eruptions, magnifying the particle load. Prolonged darkness. The sun appeared only 4 hours a day, like a faint glow. Temperatures fell between 1.6 degrees Celsius and 2.5 degrees Celsius in the northern hemisphere. Perpetual winters. Regions that once had brief summers endured year-round winter conditions. Crop failure. Without enough light, wheat, grapes, and olives failed to mature. Wine turned into sour grapes. Immediate result, widespread famine, forced migrations, and the collapse of food reserves. 5.1 Metal production collapse. Ice core analyses show much lower lead levels in the years following, indicating a drop in silver, copper, and gold mining. Fewer metals equals less monetary circulation, worsening the economic crisis. 5.2 Famine and migrations. Crop failure forced thousands to abandon their lands in search of food. Areas like the Byzantine Empire, China, and North Africa recorded intense migratory flows. 5.3 Political instability. In Rome, Emperor Justinian already struggled to fund his military campaigns. Resource scarcity forced tax hikes, sparking popular revolts caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis, the same pathogen behind the Black Death centuries later. First record, 541 AD, 5 years after the Dark Year. Cause-effect chain, extreme cold, poor grain yields, malnutrition. Malnutrition weakens immune systems. Plague spreads rapidly among vulnerable populations. Estimated deaths between 25 million and 50 million, about 26% of the world's population. Note, this was the first recorded pandemic to reach a global scale, and it originated directly after the Dark Year. These patterns reinforce the idea that massive eruptions can prime the ground for global health crises. 8.1 Byzantine Empire. Justinian. Conquest of Rome. Justinian reclaimed parts of Italy, but the adverse climate hampered logistics and helped spread the plague among troops. 82 Xinaliang Dynasty, 550-557. Chinese chronicles. Nangxi report yellow dust in sky and harsh winters. Crops failed. Records indicate prolonged famine and internal migrations. 8.3 Western Europe. Gaul, Britain, and Iberia suffered series of harvest failures, reducing wine and wheat production. 8.4 South America. Mokai culture. Peru, the Mokai, dependent on irrigation, faced simultaneous floods and droughts, leading to abandonment of major urban centers. Summary: the dark year created a domino effect that destabilized the economies, societies and governments across almost every inhabited continent. Even recognizing the importance of 536 AD, several other dates are frequently cited as candidates. Let's look at the most mentioned and why. 9.1 The Bronze Age collapse. 1177 BC Invasions of the Sea Peoples. Collapse of Hatti. Mycenaean Egyptian empires. Trade route breakdown. Supply crisis. 9.2 The Black Death 1347-1351 Deaths of 25-30% of Europe's population. Economic collapse. Peasant revolts. End of feudalism. 9.3 The Year Without a Summer 1816 Tambora eruption darkened summers, ruined harvests in Europe and North America. First, cholera pandemic 1820-1830 followed a few years later. 9.4 1492 Discovery of the Americas, Spanish conquest introduced diseases, smallpox, measles that decimated 50-90% of indigenous populations. 9.5 1914 Outbreak of World War I, Archduke Franz Ferdinand SE assassination, total war, 20 million dead. Spanish flu 1980-1920 arrived shortly after, adding millions more victims. Partial conclusion: each of these years has strong arguments, but 536 AD still stands out for combining climatic disaster, famine, economic collapse, and the first global pandemic into a single, tightly coupled sequence. If there's one thing history teaches us, it's that humans are resilient. Even when the sky stays dark for years, crops fail, and disease spreads. Year 536 AD is a testament to how climate, economy, and health are intertwined, a lesson that still resonates today. But above all, it reminds us that nothing is permanent. What seems like the end of the world for one generation may just be a chapter in humanity's long saga of survival. Now I want to hear from you. Which year do you think was the worst in history? Drop your answer in the comments, share this video, and of course hit the like button. A lot of people forget, and YouTube might even remove the subscription. If you want to dig deeper, check out the recommended videos on the right. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Explorers of the past.